Well, hi everyone, and welcome to the virtual Cobalt Cafe. It is week number 289 of our series. Happy to have you all here with us. My name is Rick Lupert. I'm your MC for the festivities tonight. In addition to our open reading, our featured reader is Stephen Kuusisto. Stephen, I realize I've never heard your name pronounced out loud, and I'm praying that I'm at least a third right in what I've said. When it's your turn at when we call on you, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I know I got some of the letters right for sure. We're glad you're here. We're going to do a chunk of our open reading first to five open readers, and then we'll hear from Stephen. It's going to be a great night. If you would like to read and you haven't already done so, send me a message in the chat and I will be happy to add you to the list. As always, the time limit is maximum of two poems, and the suggested time limit is less is more. So there you go. That is everything that I have to tell you about that. You should have the chat room open so that way you can interact with each other and react to each other since the Zoom is otherwise muted throughout the festivities. And finally, we do have a one drink minimum here at the Cobalt Cafe, something that has existed since we were an in-person venue many years ago. Um, Tonight, instead of tequila, I'm sipping Bushmills Black, a whiskey I first tried in Ireland when my wife and I had the opportunity to visit there a few years ago. We'll be back to tequila next week, probably unless any other cultural holidays come along that have their own special liqueur, in which case I might change my mind. I believe that's everything I need to tell you. Before we get to our first open reader, I would like to ask if there are any questions. Cathabella, yes.
Rick, do you have any experiences with sheep?
Um, Boy, um, I I do, but I don't want to share them because they're kind of bad. Sorry, I should have sheared myself away from saying that. I don't know. I've been to a petting zoo here and there. They seem awfully, content to just hang around humans and eat the food that you get them, and they don't seem to mind being pet, but nothing too intense. All right, Cathabella, thank you for that
Thank you, Rick.
question.
That's good. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? Martin Parker, yes.
Good evening, Rick. I was just wondering if you have any experience with curling or any other sports where you have to slide on the ice.
Um, Well, when I lived just outside of Syracuse, New York, in DeWitt, where I believe our featured reader is teaches in Syracuse, if not lives in the area. I used to when the entire place would freeze over, I would play hockey because the tennis courts would freeze over. I didn't have like ice skates or anything. We would just kind of slide around in our boots and knock the puck or the ball or whatever it was. I don't remember, but that's most of my sliding on ice experience.
I have never had the experience of ice skating, but for some reason I signed up for a half season of curling one time, and so I actually can say that I've curled.
Well, another item for the resume, Martin. Thank you for that. Any other questions before we get going? All right, we're going to get going. Five open readers and then our featured reader on deck. Our second reader will be Melody. Please welcome our first reader, Jeffrey Bryant. Hello, Jeffrey.
Hello. I poked my head outside from between my mother's legs and looked both ways for safety before being born. I was alive for mere minutes, and already I was incorrect. I grew up to be what's left on the clothesline that isn't gender screaming in the wind. I had a father who cursed in his sleep, who threatened me between snores, who bolted from a nightmare confessing he never wanted fatherhood. I had a collection of cousins, all first editions, Virginia born and bred, who disappeared in bitter menthol clouds, who looked at me pimpled with fear, like I couldn't be trusted with adulthood. I had another Mr. Pibb by the River James, listening to history's edges smoothed over by clear currents. I couldn't open the hymnal of regrets, donning my Sunday best, its pages dripping wet with my back alley blasphemy. I knew then, on the precipice of the age of consent, caught in the myths of that Gothic windswept wilderness, that I'd never survive here, where my father grew up, where my father saw virtue growing wild in every two-lane blacktop crack, where I'd never be able to hear myself over the din of the dead. Thank you.
Just the one piece tonight, Jeffrey.
That's it from me.
Well, a great one to start with. Thank you for your green hat tonight. Super happy that you're with us. So thank you so much for being here. A round of applause for Jeffrey Bryant. On deck, Christopher Bogart. Please welcome Melody. Hello, Melody.
Oh, this is fabulous. I like to see everybody in green. I completely forgot. So here we go. This poem is called Mom Was There. I woke up one morning and Mom was there, sitting on a rocking chair. I asked Mom, what you doing here? She replied, I'm sitting on a rocking chair. I said, Mom, I see you there, sitting on a rocking chair. But Mom, what brought you here? She replied, I should be coy, but I must be true. I came all this way to check on you. I'm okay, Mom, writing poetry, feeling fine, writing poetry, lines that rhyme. How's Dad? I managed to ask. They'd been together 60 some years, love, joy, and tears. Dad, he's okay, playing golf every day. And you, she asked, rocking that chair. Kids grown up, all 5, 3 grandchildren, soon 4, all happy, all thrive. I'm happy you're happy, she said, rocking away. That's all I wanted for all you 9 children, 7 alive today. Do you see Jackie and Mike, my dear departed brothers? One day, she replied, we got on heaven's bike, rode through the clouds, pedaling away, me, Jackie, and Mike. They're happy. They too keep an eye on you. I had been thinking about Mom every day, especially when I see her face, in my face. White hair, I pray. Will it be sad when I go? I asked Mom. I want to know. Oh, for a minute, maybe, and then there'll be a new baby. Are you telling me life goes on? Yes, my dear, if you can sing a song. Good morning, we sang together. She flew away out of that chair, but Mom was there. Thank you.
Dinner and a show. Thank you so much, Melody, for being here.
Yes, you're welcome.
Well done. We just added Melody to our upcoming roster of featured poets. So Melody, looking forward to your reading sometime coming up in the next few months. Glad that you said yes to that. Thanks for being here. A round of applause for Melody.
Great. And thank you for inviting me to do that. I'm very excited.
Not as excited as us. All right, a round of applause for Melody. On deck is the collab with Cathabella, Finn, and Jackie tonight. Please welcome now Christopher Bogart. Hello, Christopher.
Hello, Rick. I'd like to share the screen if I can.
Yeah, give me just one moment. Let me turn that on.
Sure. I'm going to read two poems, one about, both of them about my father. One about him when I was a child, and the other one about him, the end of his life.
Sorry, Zoom has changed the the okay, I found it. New there we go. Try it now.
Okay. Ah, here we are. Okay, let me put this into perspective here. And then, wait a minute. Let me just try this one more time. Sorry. And the reason why I've got to do it one more time is because I can't read my poem otherwise. So let me do this. All right. And then, come on in. All right. So let's try this one more time. Oh, crime in Italy. You know what? I'm going to do this without the picture, because I can't figure it out and I'm just wasting everybody's time. So let me start reading. The first one is called The Patron Saint of Saturdays. Maybe I can share this so you can see this, because this is got his picture also. Come on. Yeah. Okay. The Patron Saint of Saturdays. He always got up at the crack of dawn to sneak out to the kitchen in the back of our Quonset hut to make my breakfast. It was there I would find him every Saturday morning, standing before the kitchen sink, the sun streaming through the windows, infusing the whiteness of his t-shirt and sailor's pants with pure bright light. The sun that streamed through the windows' yellow valance gave his head a halo of gold. He was the bold, silent sailor of World War II, of sea battles fought off the Normandy coast. My father, the patron saint of Saturdays. Our Saturdays were always banana Saturdays. My father would take the Bakelite knife in hand and slowly cut rounds from their finger-like forms into my white porcelain bowl. I sat on a chipped painted wooden chair in front of the yellow stained oilcloth, my arms folded in mute anticipation, awaiting the sprinkle of sparkling grain sugar, waiting for the milk to pour over those pale golden rounds of soft sweetness, just begging for the touch of the spoon. My dad's broad white cotton t-shirted back, clothed in the pure light of each new sun's rising, enveloped each of these special Saturday breakfasts with a feeling of safety, free from care. And as I slowly emptied the contents of the white porcelain bowl, he sat across the stained oilcloth, his arms folded and staring, uniquely aware of the frailty of four. That's the first one. And the second one is, as I said, about the end of his life. This is called Mischances. I stepped into the ICU, pulled the sea green curtain back, and saw a slender form under stark white sheets, shrunken, still, yet breathing steadily. Dad, I said softly. He opened his eyes and looked at me without surprise. It's been a long time, he said. So matter-of-factly, it was the truth. It had been a long time. Years. As I stood there staring at him, I searched for why, but could not find the answer. His eyes just rested softly on me, his lids drooping ever so slowly. Sleep, I said softly. No, he replied. You'll go away again. No, I won't. I'll sit right here until you wake. He closed his eyes slowly and slept, deeply, profoundly. Later that night I left while he still slept, so soft within his dreams. It seemed that I had missed my chance, but when I saw him next, he could no longer speak, just stare. But his voice was in his eyes. It was that voice that comes to me still, day after day, from out of the darkness of my own soft dreams. Thank you.
Christopher, thank you. I'm really intrigued by the concept of bananas. Was it banana Saturdays or banana Sundays? Uh,
Actually, yeah.
wa- was it banana Saturdays or banana Sundays? I guess,
Banana. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah. It was the one time when my mother was a nurse, and so he was able to get me up and get me dressed, and I was only what, 2, 3 years old, and it was our Saturdays. But yes, I'm sorry I missed that bit of humor. Yeah.
no, that's okay. I'm always looking for a good theme for Saturdays, and bananas seems like a good one, so I may take it with me. But that is a heartfelt memory you shared with us in that poem, and glad you have that. And thank you so much for sharing it with us.
Thank you. And thank you also for posting Horton Hears the Who. I really like that.
My pleasure. Round of applause for Christopher Bogart. Two more readers, and then our featured reader, Stephen Kuusisto. On deck is Bill Gaines. Please welcome the collab tonight, represented by Cathabella, Finn, and Jackie. Hello to all three of you.
Yes, thank you, Rick. And we have our Rick too here with what kind of a flute, Rick?
Well, it's a Baroque flute replica, of course, not made in
Maybe
the
get over
Baroque
here.
period. All right, there I am.
There he is.
And Baroque flutes have one key, and that's it. So it reminds me of the so-called Irish flute, which is a simple system flute like this, but it doesn't have a key or any keys. The version that was introduced in the 1970s for Irish traditional players with no keys. They don't like those
Yeah, they
because
throw the
it
keys
slows
away.
up their fingers. It gets in the way.
Maybe you could play that in the background while we do
I
this.
was wondering if I should
Try that. Yeah. Okay. I call this sheepish eyes. Now, sentimentally, realize this is our favorite Peter. Remember Peter? He comes back every once in a while, but you can never see him. But he's really important. He's our favorite. So he started off this time. So you get the feeling of Peter. A dozen sheep browse in the browning hill by the flood basin. The black and white ram leaves, eating the tenderest plant. And I say, first honeymoon. He was my childhood sweetheart, my children's dad. He drove us out to the country to stare into the eyes of cows. Jackie.
Black and white like a tuxedo, the Shih Tzu lives on without a ruffled mate.
And Siggy, Highland cattle on rocky seaside country road. Sheep climb to green grass, the most agile of the group, eating and not sharing fodder. And Finn.
6-week-old lamb, astray, pursues the sheep on 2 legs, uphill, mundane walk around pond, escapade to new eyes.
I love that one. It's my favorite. I've never seen the lamb walking on 2 feet, but I can easily imagine it. Okay, here comes the phlebotomist, Countess Dracula, to fill her bottomless flask from Nikki's snow white arm. Then,
The cephalic vein is a straight tunnel, left thumb a guardrail, proceed slowly, slim, sharp train in my right palm. And my little note is when I was learning veterinary phlebotomy.
that's so great. We had no idea. Peter started this, and we went into this without any knowledge that Finn would be there with all her experience. And Jackie.
Yearly labs in a few months. The squares on the calendar chasing that date.
That's great. Finn, do you want to read Siggy?
The vampire lurks any time of morning, day, or night, leaves purple blotches. Her focus, a many-tube draw. Later, with a smile.
Great. I'm here to hold his hand and write an encouraging poem for the City of Hope phlebotomy room. Okay, here's Peter again. Peter, cricket, hiding in the guest room, stridulating, shyly silent whenever the hunter gets close. And I say, we caught the cricket. This is a true story. We caught the cricket and let it go. The great escape. Me too, I wished, from our small house and out into the sweet dark air of night. That was a long time ago. I would never be wishing to escape this house. And Siggy, you could read it, Finn.
Lizards in San Juan sneak in through the window cracks, doing their push-ups. Edie, our puppy, exercises, middle of the night on mattress.
And here you are, Finn.
Cricket chirping anywhere between our kitchen and bedroom. I stalk him through the day till our neighbor gets mute.
And Jackie.
Connect the audio.
Is that you, Jackie?
Yes, a rustle heard in the bushes. I hope it's a cat, not some possum.
Oh, thank you. That's everybody and their animals. And thank you so much. It was so much fun. And thanks to Finn Bell, who decided to join us. And thanks to Rick with his Irish music. You could finish off with a flourish. Thank you.
Dinner and a show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys very much, Cathabella, Finn, Jackie, and Rick, for giving us another wonderful collaborative presentation. Great to hear it. Great to see what y'all are up to and the different people involved with it. Very cool. Round of applause to all of those folks. On deck is our featured reader, Stephen Kuusisto. Please welcome now Bill Gaines. Hello, Bill.
Hello, Rick. Hello, everybody. I have two short ones tonight. This is called Head Down, Horns Forward. A massive bull in polka dots and makeup charging straight at me, head down, horns forward, slips on a banana peel. A bull can be a rodeo clown too, but he's got to put in the work. End of that piece. The next one is Yellow, Pink, and Black. Let us adjourn to the empty tomb to misinterpret our favorite jokes. And there our sloth will save us, for the lazy will reach the end of time last. For matters what matters when everything's frozen. For something new gets old with use, and teeth get only so many bites before they crumble away. End of piece.
Another fine mention of bananas, Bill. Thank you so much for your work tonight. Thank you for being here. Nice job.
Thanks for having me.
Sure. So you got a green wall back there. Did you paint that just for today?
I'm going to say yes.
Good. I like a festive person. Uh, Thank you, Bill. Round of applause for Bill Gaines. On deck after our featured reader will be Carrie Cox, which leads us now to our featured reader, Stephen Kuusisto, who will have the opportunity now to tell me if I've been pronouncing his name correctly.
Mute button.
Stephen came to my attention thanks to our friend Sean Mahoney, who is here with us tonight, regular open reader participant, as well as a featured reader alum. Sean, thank you so much for sending Stephen's name in my direction. I asked Sean last week, Stephen, can you give us a word as to why he suggested you be with us? And the only thing he had to say is, well, he was on Oprah. So we've got that going on. It turns out, though, that Stephen has a lot more going on. He's the author of several books, some memoirs, four collections of poems. Most recently, the one called "Close Escapes" from Copper Canyon Press. He is known for his work depicting disabilities, specifically blindness. And particularly interesting and familial to me is my understanding, Stephen, is that you are a professor of poetry and creative nonfiction, already cool enough, but at Syracuse University. And my family is from Syracuse. And although I wasn't born there, I did live there for a handful of years, and it kind of feels like the place that I'm from in a way. And so whenever I hear about someone from Syracuse, or even just the word Syracuse, it feels particularly familiar and important to me. Personally, my mom worked in the philosophy department at Syracuse University for a short time, just in the office there. So I'm really excited that you're here. I can only imagine, as I recall from Syracuse, that it's 20 below zero there. Perhaps I remember having to deliver newspapers in DeWitt across the street from Lemoyne College, where I lived, in snow that was, way up to here on me. I'm so happy that you're here. Stephen, welcome.
Well, thank you very much. And thank all of you for being here. I live in DeWitt and just a stone's throw from the Syracuse University campus. I'm in the area where the golf courses are. And we have had tremendous snow this winter. It's been unrelenting. And I woke up today and there was fresh snowfall on the ground when only 2 days ago we were in the 70s. So this felt like a cruel joke. And it was bitterly cold here today. Glare ice on the roads. It was classic upstate New York. Winter has not left us yet, I'm afraid to say. This new book, Close Escapes, is kind of an odd thing because it's the kind of poetry you write when at a certain point in your life you realize that all the fragmented memories and bits of a life in their own way make for little bits of art. So it's a lyric book and not a narrative book. The lyric poet or writer is the one who doesn't know where they're going and finds the road while they're writing. The narrative writer is the one who knows the ending of the story and is simply writing their way to that conclusion. So these poems are, they're delicate. They are informed by many years of my life living in Finland. Kuusisto is the number one name in Finland. It means grove of spruce trees. And the second most popular name in Finland is the Grove of Birch Tree People. So, we have these two clans. This is the poem that opens the book. It's about traveling blind and being in a strange place in a very quotidian way, right? My flight got canceled and I'm in a strange hotel. I'm alone in a room with a radio, a dog, and a glass of water. There was a chair, a bed, the usual hotel furnishings. My connecting flight had been canceled, and it was toward midnight. The hotel was in a rundown part of the city. I had to take the dog out. I put on her leather harness. Me, I was wearing track shoes and a rumpled business suit. Out we went, first into a hallway that smelled of soap flakes, then up to street level, then down a corridor filled with plastic ferns, until we reached a parking lot. The only place to take the dog, or so I'd been told. And there we were, standing in the nowhere of blindness. That beautiful nothing, with its hope and autonomy and its private song, shared between man and animal, the oldest song on earth. So this is a section of poems that I entitled Nordic Zen. They're very heavily influenced, the poems, by kind of Finnish minimalism. They're all little movies in a way. These are numbered. 1. In Nordic Zen, things simply disappear. A man may find he is no longer the emperor of his room. A girl sees at last that her mother doesn't love anybody. A clock chimes at the back of the house. These are like little mini Bergman movies. 2. My great-grandfather, a wheelwright, built coffins and sleighs in rural Finland. That they looked alike was no surprise. The rules of construction are the same above and below ground. 3. I dragged the old boat to the lake shore and talked peaceably to my dead father about light that shines in the shallows. 4. No one calls your name quite like the birches, which have so many voices. The trick is to hear this and to live at the same time. 5. Deep down, there's moonlight on the river. We know it's the river we cross again and again. Halfway across, our coins become useless. 6. Alone in the attic with a gramophone and comic books. Happy birthday, son. Far below, The angry parents accuse each other of what they'll never become. 7. It wasn't much, just a spoon in the dirt where the hospital once stood. 8. Deep in the night, everyone's alive. Even my dark grandmother. In the old cafe, I raise a demitasse cup with a chipped gold rim. 9. What do the people say in the next village? They're just talking to horses in the winter wind. No hand gestures necessary. 10. They used to hang the bread from rafters. They had lullabies you wouldn't sing to children nowadays. Their offspring thought nothing of carrying a broken angel across the fields. 11. Death comes so softly, like the good man who brings the cattle in. And here we are, sitting in the woods beside the abandoned wood stove. 12. Once on a train to Lapland, I loaned my harmonica to a sick man. He played a tune called "There Are No Skunks in Finland." I wrote that myself, he said, and coughed up some blood. Yesterday, I climbed into a boat, left to rot on dry land. In amongst the weathered wood, souls talking. I'm just going to read a couple more here. Bear with me. Here we go. This is a poem called "You'll Have to Take My Word." And then there's a little epigram from a Finnish poet named Jarkko Laine. He says, "Rebellion simply makes a man old." I've outgrown sentiment, like the old apples on old trees. Spirit quiet, clean with decline. As a boy, I was loud with rebellions, buying birds, for instance, releasing them in parking lots, where the grills of Chevrolets gleamed in heartbreak. It's understatement saying I'm tired. Leave a message. I'll be in touch. The oldest apples hang far into autumn, glow against bare limbs, as if Aphrodite has passed, preoccupied as she must be. And then I'll read one more here. Bear with me. This is a poem called Questions to Answers, and I'll end with this one. I dedicated this to my late friend, Marvin Bell. Questions to Answers. I was guilty of reversing things, so that water was sky when I rowed the boat early mornings, and I could see the purpose of trees was the perfection of earth. Boyhood was like swallows in June. I flew everywhere, upside down and fast. Oh, and I made solemn work of shadows, begging the darkness with my own darkness, a trick of the blind, always the smallest grains of feeling. This is why the gravity of seasons holds me awake, almost foolish to say, I believe snowfall is the form and habit of gods, and they return against our will, and they talk of natural facts. They talk of natural facts. Whenever I want to cry, I think of boyhood and the gods, the virtual emptiness of a child's early mornings, blind in a boat. All right, I'm going to stop there. This is available where better books are sold and also on the Copper Canyon website. And thank you for giving me a little spot to read here with you.
Stephen, thank you so much. You're clearly so much more than a guy who was on Oprah. You've got a whole lot going on in your work. Really engaging reading style. Really, it's hard to not get drawn into what you're saying. I think that was especially evident in the list poem, the numbered poem that you read, and tons of great lines. Standing in the nowhere of blindness. I loved you referring to those little bits as like little Bergman movies. That was fantastic. I was moved by the line, their offspring thought nothing of carrying a broken angel across the fields. Really just fantastic to hear your work, and I really appreciate that you were with us tonight. I'm going to paste some stuff in the chat and also share the screen. If I can figure out how to do that now that there's a new version of Zoom as of this week that has changed where the share button is.
They are constantly changing the format of
Yes,
Zoom, and it can be very confusing.
it can. Yeah, I think I got it though. They just stuck everything in a little pop-up window, but there it is. For those of you who can see it, this is the broadside for Stephen's poem Questions to Answers. You can download this now at the Cobalt Poets website at the link I pasted in the chat. It's an 11 by 17 print, which you're welcome to just look at on the screen or print out, or anything that you can think of to do with that we may not have even thought of. Do that, would you? And I hope you'll consider well, Stephen has said tipping is off the table for today, but what would, as he mentioned at the end of his reading, instead of considering a tip, consider purchasing his book. You can go to the Copper Canyon website, and also there's two other links in the chat. There's one at Amazon for those of you who use that website, and there's also one at bookshop.org, another option for you if you like to buy your books from places like that. Then there you go. And I posted a link to Stephen's website too, so you can check it out and see all the things that Stephen is up to, and virtually stalk him, as it were. Stephen, thank you so much. Really enjoyed that. Great to hear from the old neighborhood, as it were. I went to elementary school at Genesee Hills Elementary School, which was on Thompson Road, and now I think is the Jewish Community Center.
I think it is, yeah.
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 Jamesville DeWitt Middle School before I moved out here to LA. So wonderful to. I hope you're holding down the fort, is what I'm saying out there.
I am. And my best friend is my snowblower.
Yeah. It's good to have to not limit your relationships to
Right?
human
I know.
beings. So that's
Exactly.
that's fantastic.
It's an electric snowblower with rechargeable batteries. It's it's green and friendly to the environment. And
Perfect for the
I have
war.
put it through so much work this winter. You can't believe it. It's just been it's really been like Siberia here this winter.
Wow. Well, I remember that a little bit, and I guess I was used to it at the time, and now in LA, having been here since 1982, when it gets to be 59 degrees, it's a crisis personally for me. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
but I remember conceptually what it
yeah,
was like.
yeah, yeah.
Stephen, thank you again for being here. If you're ever up late on the East Coast, we do this every Tuesday. Feel free to pop into the open reading and share some
Great,
work. It would be
great,
great to hear
great.
from you again. And thank you. Round of applause again for our featured reader, Stephen Kuusisto. I think I'm closer to
There you
pronouncing it
go. You
correctly.
got it.
All right,
You're ready for Finland.
I'm on my way.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you, Stephen.
All right, you
Um,
guys.
okay,
I'm gonna take my retired guide dog outside. She's been very patient. Thank you
ver-
all for being here.
thank you, Stephen, and please say "wolf" to your dog for us.
I promise. Thanks.
Thank you. I will mention before we get to the rest of tonight's open reading that next week our featured reader will be Ellen Thea from the Bay Area. She's been in our open reading a bunch of times in the past, so looking forward to welcoming her next week. That leads us, of course, now to the rest of tonight's open reading. Here's who I have in this order: Carrie Cox, George Wiley, Mr. Tezazomok, Christopher T. George, Denise Dumars, Ike Waltz, Martin Parker, Chris Kondo, Michael G. Hickey, Jennifer Elise Wang, Heidi Casa Digwayne, and me. If you would like to read and I missed you or you didn't let me know, send me a message in the chat. Happy to add you. Um, uh, and as a friendly reminder, if you came late or forgot or whatever, 2 poems maximum, less is more is the suggested time limit. Please welcome, well, on deck is George Wiley. Please welcome Carrie Cox. Hi, Carrie.
Top of the evening, Derek. How's everyone? I hope great. St. Patty's Day. I have a few poems. They're older poems I dug out for tonight. The first one is called Davidian Logic. And what I love about the word Davidian is there aren't very many people who've actually gotten their name made into an adjective. Like you think of Kafkaesque or, Edwardian, Davidian, but there aren't a lot of names that have made it that far. Platonic. So anyway, I think that's interesting. Put any you know of in the chat. Okay, Davidian logic. You're a Goliath story without any teeth and a million empty hearts buried underneath. Fire tripping up the street, gangly legs and a mouthful of meat begging the sky to ventriloquist something sweet. How do I count the cracks in my bones when the Lilliput dreams leave me blind and disowned? Blood in the oranges, thorns on the thrones. Glib as disaster, sexing up the airwaves, lungs full of ash turn cradles into graves as the old ladies whisper of the ones Jesus saves. Nails older than the color of sin, clawing its way up our throats again. I had a sinking feeling you didn't know how to swim. A target practicing how to shoot back, a cobbler succumbing to the boot's bleakest black, a night without warning, the backs of our mothers fully intact. You tasted like candy, hiding a heart attack, as if a book could tell you how to act. A faithless notion, a sandcastle promise dead in a sack, a tobacco, a tobacco sleeve full of one-eyed jacks. Who's the burden? Who's the back? I'm August to April, stitches and verbs like silent attacks as blades of grass grow snicker snack, and slingshots of sirens disguise all the dignity our best fights lack. My second poem is called Warm Storms. Thunderstorm came on me clapping all fireworks and distance counted. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. The streaks in my sky mean nothing, but still we try to calculate the miles between the flash breaking the sky in half and the low grumble of reverberation shaking inked out clouds of their last best tears. I'm late June listening for the sounds of a fever I don't yet have. Hold my hands while you paint pictures so I remember everything you feel, how deep the shadows on the face of every moon but this. Always enemies. Water and electricity, water and oil, water and empty lungs, water and fire, water and gravity, water and news. Just for night, determined to travel by the shapes in the stars, as if philosophy made science real, as if supernatural were not made of the same stuff as us. All this centrifugal force, all this crackled heat, all this buoyancy, all this talk of summers that grew warmer with each passing year, with each flooded city, with each declaration of heat sickness. With each drop evaporating, we still drink, blind to the heaving normal of black lung, of malignancy, of a long day's longest moment, of a tongue gone cold, of an empty mouth. Give us something else to talk about. Fill up these feelings with disease and doubt, but don't say the unspeakable, for words give rise to Valentine's stupor and atomic spring. Leave each me, devoid of my monsters, a blue naivety clutched like a Bible, small enough still to wonder and wave, and a skill like a crone to tell you the time. A sundial's been known to break a few bones when April is only beginning to show its dreamy grass-fed glow. In your mist, I'm still divine. Thank you.
Carrie, thank you. Sante. And thank you also for sexing up our airwaves, if I may quote you as well. Good to see you. Round of applause for Carrie Cox. On deck, Mr. Tezozomok, please welcome now George Wiley. Hi, George.
Well, hello. Good to be here after a long gap. But I have two. First one is called Hate One. It whirls around us, spreading faster than love. It crawls in through cracks in our heart and seeps like a virus into our blood. When not blazing from the ground, it falls from above. Hate is the spider web that crawls round our space, the Jezebel that builds shells against caring, the impaler that bleeds out a warming heart, the battlefield scourge that crushes grace. Brutality sprays off hate's tongue, with ignorance as its patronly saint. The viper of hate rarely sheds its own skin, but thankfully it devours its young. For fear is the parent of hate, but thankfully, again, hate eats its own young. Thank you. Dear direction, I want to go places. I want to go places where I feel large, where I feel tiny, where I am essential, where I'm obscure, where a bird feeds from my hand or a child thinks I'm important. I want to go places where everything is green, or maybe blue or black or gold again, where I can breathe underwater or peer in at my long gone parents, where my arms are still 20 and my brain is still 40. I want to go to a time when passion resided, when the streams ran clear, when pain was something others had, when my wink was acceptable, when storms were the only noises, and where I was omniscient. I want to go to places where I was not welcome. Thank you.
Well, this is certainly not one of those places, George. You are always welcome here, and it's really great to see you again after such a long time. I love the line, "Hate eats its own young." Well done. Thank you so much for being here. Don't be a stranger.
I was going to tell you that when you wrote the book that you weren't that about that, or I'm not going to write a poem about Hawaii. I happened to finally get there this year, and I wonder if I have your permission to write a book about not writing a book about Hawaii.
Please, the deeper we can go with this, the better.
It's too deep already. That's okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, George. Nice to see you. A round of applause for George Wiley. On deck is Christopher T. George, please welcome now Mr. Tezozomok. Hello, Tez.
Hi there. It's good to be here again with you guys. I'm going to go in with one piece titled When the Elk Remember the Ocean. They say the elk and the deer remember the ocean when it rains. They say the marrow inside their bones hums with tides older than almond and pistachio orchards, oil fields, and freeways. When the clouds opened their tired mouths and let a small blessing, the bodies of these animals moved, returning to its origin story. They turn toward the tributaries, the marshes, the long wet braid of river memory. They return to the places where bodies used to speak to water and water used to answer with life. Because once there was a song, a very old song, a river song, older than the fences and property lines, older than the language of ownership. The first verse called the ocean inland, a tsunami of spirits, a migration of possibility, sea creatures stepping forward like children who were ready to grow. Each verse shapes bodies, each verse sculpting skin into hide, into legs, salt into breath, until the last verse crowned them with antlers. They stood trembling on the lip of a wet world, shaking the seaweed from their bones, bowing to the Creator, receiving law. They were given original instructions. If the people remember mourning, there would be food. If the people remember gratitude, there would be life. If the people remember the offering back to the marsh, the water would remember us in return. But the song was interrupted, not by thunder, not by storm, by something colder, by something dressed in iron from the mid-1800s, a screen made of rifles, survey stakes, and contracts. They called it the gold rush, but it was a disassembly line for worlds. The Tulare Basin was laid open like a crime scene cadaver. Market hunting kept score like an umpire of ghosts, while cattle ranching and agriculture cut the land into rectangles of obedience. It became to dissect a living world and name the pieces property. Picture it. They to near genocide. Henry Miller's vaqueros riding through the blinding dust of 1874, stumbling into the last trembling survivors huddled near what was left of Buena Vista Lake, There, these were the quaqua, the big shoulder memory carriers of the tall grass, one designed by the river being to share the burden of the people. Now they carried only the weight of extinction, standing in the shrinking water like widows at a graveside while the world turned itself into a machine. Years later, the state wrote their story into legal fiction language, and the state did what bureaucrats always do. When they kill something holy, they wrote it down neat and professional, like it was a meeting minute. No, they passed a bill, a bare bill, a sterile promise, a bureaucratic thoughts and prayers typed up paper. They trapped his policy, moved descendants like prisoners, prisoners of ecological war to Owen Valley and Point Reyes. Sorry, I lost my place. Shoot. Give me a second. Oh, there we go. So the state could pretend it had done something holy. Now they carried extinction in their ribs. The elk still moved like ghosts, crepuscular shadows slipping between derricks and stock ponds, like apologizing for existing in a place that used to belong to them. We forget the water, we forget the river that once held the map of an entire heart. Yokuts knew, Kawisu knew, Tavatulaba knew that this was not just meat on hooves. Now they inside telemetry studies, they live inside grant proposals, they live inside the dead language of environmental policy. They are managed population, not a sacred being. They are a scanned barcode of memory. We refuse to honor. This was a spirit. This was a test of humility. You do not boast. You do not brag. You do not chew loud on sacred life without singing back, because if you forget mourning, the land withdraws its kindness. The deer disappear. Silence becomes law. And now we only know elk through binoculars, the state reports, and the distant tremor of something holy trying not to disappear. We see them through windshields, through drones, through paperwork and fences. We do not hear the song anymore. We do not perform the offering. We eat the earth and give nothing back. Here we are in a valley stitched in scars. So I stand here searching for rain, listening for Tule to rise again from places where transformation once happened, listening for that last verse that was silenced before it could finish healing the world. But the sky is a dry witness. The valley wears its trauma like a suit cut too tight, the undocumented worker, the elk, the river. We are all hiding from the blinding headlights of the state. We're all survivors of a tsunami that did not come from the ocean, but from the machines. There are very few elk left, the river mostly gone. And when the winter rains come, almost no one remembers that the bones of this valley once remembered the sea. When winter rain falls, almost no one remembers the ocean anymore, and almost no one remembers to sing.
Tez, thank you so much for that. Older than properties and fence lines is something that I think about a lot. It feels like all the borders and things that we have are just lines that people at one point came up with that are kind of meaningless in one way or another. Thank you for that. Looking forward to your featured reading coming up soon. Thank you for being here. A round of applause for Mr. Tezozomok. On deck, Denise Dumars. Please welcome now Christopher T. George. Hi, Christopher.
Hello, Rick. Here on the east coast of America, we still got 25 minutes of St. Patrick's Day. So I'm going to read a couple of poems related to Ireland. hopefully. This is a poem about Dominic Donnelly, homeless man, killed in Belfast in the early 1970s. Dominic Donnelly, a homeless man, lies on a Belfast pavement, killed by an unsuspecting bomb contained in a trunk, which he picked up after it had been left lying in a betting shop. That's a caption to a photo in the Manchester Guardian. Dominic hugged his death to him. Transistor radio, more prized than cigarette ends. Dominic hugged his death to him. Sure, if someone was daft enough to leave it, they deserved to have it took. Dominic hugged his death to him, and death snuggled inside his overcoat, ticking. Dominic hugged his death to him, and death hugged Dominic. It was one incredible lover. It wrestled him to the pavement, kissed him open like a watermelon. For Anne Lovett. Earlier, January winds sighed across the patchwork fields, swirled around dry stone walls, ruffled the wool of sheep, drove starlings like duckshot across the gunmetal grey sky. Normally, she'd go to school in her anorak and woolly jumper. Instead, before Ma Ada rose, she walked to the grassy hill with its sheep creep paths, the grotto with its holy figure. Sister Immaculata later said Anne was an intelligent, artistic child. If only she'd confided her secret. Anne kept her size hidden, told no one, took care to carry scissors along to snip the umbilical cord. She knew that much. For hours she lay in labor in the cold afternoon rain, As she lay dying, did she think of the lover she'd known, or the caress of the hand of God? Thank you.
Thank you, Christopher, very much. I also dug the line, kissed him open like a watermelon. Enjoy your waning moments of St. Patty's Day there on the East Coast. Thanks for being here. A round of applause for Christopher T. George. On deck, Ike Waltz, please welcome Denise Dumars. Hello, Denise.
Hi, let me get this together here real fast. Turn the sound up. Okay, can everybody hear me? Tonight, I couldn't decide what to read. So I'm reading these two, they're short. And I guess I would say if I wrote pastoral poetry, maybe it would look something like this. I don't know. I did have one great grandmother from Ireland. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Okay, this one's called Small Visitor in My Garden. A pollen-furred bee, perhaps, but I hear no lunar buzz. Brown velvet wing with contrast edge, but nothing flutters by. I thought I felt it in the holly. Sharp edges made it weep. Whatever it is that stalks this garden, its footfalls splash the dew and scent the air with dill and clove. between the dusk and darkness stark. On viewing, it will change again, as if it had a thrashing tail and glowing lantern eyes, and not the tickle of a praying mantis or sharp shock of lizard bite. Tomorrow, when it comes again, silvery in all its motion song, I'll gasp and breathe my welcome and stretch my night hand out to finally meet a child of the sun. And this one got published recently. I've read it here before, but it's just kind of cute. Fairy ring on my lawn, emissaries in the sunlight of the brains of the operation, hidden deep below the ground, alien face in the grass, asking to speak to our real leader. Thank you.
Denise, glad you are alive and well and with us. Thank you so
Thanks.
much for, thank you so much for being here. I hope you continue to be healthy and feeling good, and to see you again soon.
It's great to come tonight. Wonderful. Great to see everybody.
Indeed. A round of applause for Denise Dumars on deck. Martin Parker, please welcome Ike Waltz. Hi, Ike.
Hi. Well, I'm married to an Irish Blackfoot woman. I guess that says it all. And now let's look at Wiki and find the word textroverts. Textroverts. Textrovert. Two textroverts having a date. Faces facing by default, dancing their keyboard in sync, silence by default. The art of concentration, I'm told. Two devices having a date, facing by default, isolation, I am told. Fingers flipping in sync, silence by default, isolated concentration by default. Two textroverts having a date, faces facing by default, texting until late, devices burning eyes, both, so I'm told, enjoyed that date. Digitalization without emotions, nothing is neither too hot nor cold. Two devices having a date in their digital delight. They sip their espresso bits by bites, look deep into that digital ground, emoji hearts, tell it pixel sharp. Let's undress each other. Let's have sex together. Two textroverts, two devices, alive side by side, ask, how do you undress? And why tonight? Yes, we are sexting, burning keys, indulge in a sexy plot. Let's do it tonight. Why not? Is isolated emotions, pixel sharp, with no protection, expecting imagination with a super heart. But both devices never had a fuck. Constipated, they freeze and shut. Cut was their last breath. And that, in a major scream, pixel sharp, I barely overheard that following whisper. Great, let's text exploration and set a new date. Sooner the better, what either one must have better said. But it's never too late. Two textroverts flip the flap into the top and pack their lap into a huckepack sack. Their security firewall, this invisible comfort zone information technology, floats them into a cloud which stores it all, which accesses us all in a joys up, which fucks us all. Embedded in a coded chip, melancholy and ecstasy, bandwidths expressed in digital jubilee. Access point security. I'm data in download mode, communication without text, words copulate at the speed of light. Theta is the new sex. Okay? Flipping devices, foreplay by default. The millennials will get old, so is the emoji cord. And in meanwhile, let the emojis do the talking. Emojis read the future without that language wall. Emojis transform the abstract digital images, stimulate or urge to have a simulated fuck. Two textroverts have a date. Two emojis don't mind getting fucked up. And there is me. I just like to have a date with you or anybody who wants a fucking date.
In the immortal words of Ike Waltz, let's undress each other. That's forever our theme from here on forward. Ike, thank you so much for being here. Good luck. I hope your wife agrees to go out with you soon. Round of applause for Ike Waltz. Thank you, Ike. On deck, Chris Kondo, please welcome now Martin Parker. Hello, Martin.
Hello again, Rick. Got a couple poems here. Like everybody seems to be saying in the chat and on or out loud, the weather's been crazy here in DC recently too. Last week, like in Syracuse, we had actually an 80-degree day followed by 3 hours of snow the next day, none of which stuck because it'd been warm for several days here. But today it was back down in the 30s and very windy as I was coming home from my eye exam. And this all reminds me of this poem that I wrote a few weeks ago when we got 6 inches of snow, which was our first snow this winter. Not unusual for us to get our first snow in February around here, if we get any snow at all. But the day after the snow, I had to walk back to my place, or I should say travel back to my place, and more walking than I expected. So it was a mixture of wind in my face and having fun sliding on snow like I hadn't done since I was a child or since that short curling episode. So this is called Passage. The snow is knocking at the pane as white builds up on street and lane, and I must venture through the slush. No time to wait for waylaid bus. It makes my passage challenging as wind whips up an icy sting, till slowly I achieve my goal, to climb back in my hiding hole. Each week I travel back and forth as storms come through from farther north. Emotions change most every day, while others pass and fall away. She calls and we connect again. Her voice helps melt my winter pain. And then, as I have been doing, I've found a poem called Passage. If I can get it to come up here. This is a poem by Victoria Chang, an Asian American poet born and raised in Detroit, who is now a professor at Georgia Tech. This is called Passage also. Every leaf that falls never stops falling. I once thought that leaves were leaves. Now I think they are feeling in search of a place. Someone's hair, a park bench, a finger. Isn't that like us? Going from place to place, looking to be alive. And thank you very much. I'll put links for my multilingual artwork in the chat as always, and other information in case you want to check it out.
Cool. Thank you, Martin. Cool pieces as usual. Appreciate you being here. Round of applause for Martin Parker. On deck, Michael G. Hickey. Please welcome now Chris Kondo. Hello, Chris.
Hello there. Let's be sharing something short. Who's got the shortest today? I am looking. Here we go. A misty dawn captures the window. A misty dawn captures the window. And stops here. One more short one. If I can find it. Here we go. Uncountable the things I have tried to escape. Uncountable the things I have tried to escape. Thank you.
Chris, thank you very much.
Do I get the prize for the shortest today?
Yes, I didn't even have time to make the plaque yet because that was so quick.
Thank
But
you.
we're working on it, and we're going to get that to you soon. I hope you get to stop counting those things, is what I wanted to say to you, really. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Round of applause for Chris Kondo. On deck is Jennifer Elise Wang. Please welcome Michael G. Hickey. Hi, Michael.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to put this in the chat. My very Irish Uncle Jack, late Uncle Jack, had a saying, may you be in heaven 30 minutes before the devil knows you're dead. Anyway, I've been on a slump. I've been in a real writing slump. I haven't written a new poem in forever. I don't know, months. A lot of personal stuff going on. Good. I mean, good stuff. But anyway, so every once in a while, the muses just say, oh, yeah, sit down. You're going to write this now. And okay, fine. This literally happened to me 3 days ago. I don't even consider this poetry, excuse me, as much as creative nonfiction. I did give it an interesting, provocative title. Okay, just one poem tonight. It's a prose poem. It's called Meet Me Behind the Dumpster. Saturday, a little before 12 noon, I walk out of the grocery store and hear it immediately, this ear-piercing primal scream therapy. A woman at the other end of the parking lot, all simultaneously, is running, shrieking, and wildly waving her arms. She runs right up to me at the grocery store's front entrance. She is red-faced, terrified, hyperventilating like crazy. What happened? I say, are you okay? Did someone assault you? Just then, nearby, a tattooed biker woman with salt and pepper hair and tattoos dismounts from her Harley in the parking lot and approaches. Did someone touch you? She asks. And that's when it occurs to me that this emotional woman does not look as if she has been in an altercation. She is a white woman in her late 20s, maybe early 30s, wears a white tube top with brown khakis and green rain boots. Her clothing isn't ripped. Her mascara isn't a mess. Her hair isn't disheveled. I'm having a panic attack. The young woman's entire body is convulsing now. I start channeling my old high school football coach. Inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. The oxygen will get to your brain faster that way, I say. And it works. She does it. And just as I pull out my phone to dial 911, she finally catches her breath and regains her composure. Don't stop. Don't call 911, she says, heaving. Don't call 911. My name is Ruth Ann. Follow me. The tattooed woman and I oblige, and across the parking lot, approximately 100 yards away, behind a building, the three of us approach a large green van. Ruth Ann shakes a little bit, but then remembers to breathe and then explains her story. 3 days earlier, Ruth Ann got her car stolen from the parking lot at work. The thief spent 72 hours transforming her old green Escalade into a shooting gallery on wheels and a traveling brothel. There are hypodermic needles on the floorboards with spent condoms, spilled food, torn panties, tire tools, spiders, ants, and fast food boxes piled a foot high everywhere. There was a general smell of malaise and despair, also an aroma from the Taco Bell box scattered on the floorboard, heavy on the onions. Ruth Ann explains that when it comes to the OCD scale, she's 10. And with her latex gloves pulled up high with determination and gritted teeth, She's okay cleaning until she sees the blood. The napkins all over the floor with red dots in the middle, a small circular blood stain, what addicts use to stop the bleeding after they pull out the needle. These napkins, donning dots of blood, are liberally mixed in with the fast food refuse all over the floorboards in the back seat. The red dots, that's what's got her. The red dots, that's what set Ruth Ann running. The biker lady and I pull on gloves and latex gloves and methodically empty bag after bag after bag of trash into two dumpsters conveniently located nearby. I grab my Windex wipes, and we scrub the car down as best we can. An hour later, the car isn't perfect, but at least it's clean enough that Ruth Ann is willing to drive it to the car wash. The three of us share a warm group hug, the best group hug ever. We share phone numbers as well. And as I watch the women depart in their respective vehicles, I smoke a cigarette and think to myself, hell, I've had worse first dates than that. Thank you.
It's good to have a standard to live down to, Michael. Thank you so much for bringing us that piece. I hope that you get through your slump, and we're
And I
here
should
for
say,
you
Rick,
when you
that
do.
I did call her the next day, the woman who had these problems. And I just said, like, I just want you to know that I care. And, if we could be friends or whatever, that's cool, but you don't have to respond to this. And I didn't hear back. So I didn't. Anyway, I hope she's well.
Nice well wishes there, Michael. Thank you so much for being here, and see you again soon. I'm sure a round of applause for Michael G. Hickey. I've just got Jennifer and Heidi left on the list before me closing out the reading. If I missed anyone, now's your last chance to let me know. So Heidi, you're on deck. Please welcome now.
Hey, so I've got two. The first is the cover, and I was thinking since it's St. Patrick's Day, first I was going to read something from Oscar Wilde, but actually my friend wrote a piece in response to a page of a manuscript of Oscar Wilde that was part of a queer history exhibit. So I'm going to read that. All our pieces responding to the exhibit got put together in a museum, and I think it's just important because right now being queer in America kind of sucks, especially in Texas. So this is before the final elimination of Drag Race, what I would say to little Oscar Wilde in 1897 by Aaron Glover. It's amazing how far you've come. You're in the stone pit now. Don't give up. Your path is your own, shorter than you'll hope. Keep your voracious appetite long as you can. You have burned yourself pure page by page, becoming a trembling narcissus in an April snow. You could have been kinder, though you weren't, and queens and queers will hold up your name evermore, blazing thyruses of defiance, green carnation middle finger bloom. Stay true to your drag, impossible to see now, but you are a pantheon unto yourself, Dionysus of the Belle Epoque, Sisyphean struggle, then Apollo, assuming your place among constellations. A body cannot stay. My Oscar and the nature of human stories is one same final, unglamorous end. You know your own breaking, bones and soul, but your genius remains. You also know, as you always have and refuse to deny, it will live on and grow, glowing beside Stein, Foucault, Lord, Kramer, Hooks. Beauty entered your life many times and has again, though cloaked now as despair by a jailer's hand. And for yourself and me and all who have and will come between and after, you will not turn, but set down what is true in looping inked marks, outlasting prison sentence, bodies, buildings, nations. Do not color with regret's blush. We as queer people paint our faces and choose our families, that our very gift. As you sit confined, do not forsake hope, for as you have awakened to this privilege, We mark the human path you charted. Each ennobles the other. This, my Oscar, is all we must do until the very last. Keep going. And so, yeah, that was by Aaron Glover. And so the second piece is one that I wrote recently that kind of mentioned last week. Been dealing with the loss of two friends and kind of have been joking in between that. My favorite comfort series killed off a character. So that was like salt in the wound. But on the other hand, that's easier to address the fictional death than the real stuff. So yeah, I wound up writing a piece from one of the characters in the series. And so this is Survivor's Guilt. I was supposed to be done with farewells after leaving the world I knew, my original sin sealing my fate to a solitary path. And yet I could not continue without forging new connections. Is this the will of a cruel deity or the dismal destiny of living in the material plane? Around my heart, I tried to build a wall, remembering lives are ever changing, but these bonds bleed into cracks in my armor and then leave me to rebuild the newly shattered pieces. Last one standing. To remain is the worst pain.
Jennifer, I'm sorry about the losses in your life, both real and imagined. Sometimes they both hit home in the same way. Glad you're here to tell us about them. Please come back soon.
Thank you.
Round of applause for Jennifer Elise Wang. On deck is me to close out the open. Please welcome now Heidi Casa. Hello, Heidi.
Hello, Rick. Hello, everybody. I have two tonight. First one is called Nameless Bands. Named, but the name's afterthoughts in the wandering, room to room, stage to stage. Audience seeks a spark, the girl bouncing, energy far outweighing the numbers. Making a name by creating a quality. My friend says she's good, and I wonder if good means certain, if a person shouts confidence, no matter if warranted. I've been in places where good owns itself, art winding its way to bodies to land its tiny legs on. Meaning the name does not come before you, does not build the stage you stand on. A dark leaf's face upturned to sun, or its pale underside flapping in wind. The moment pooling from energy that may not be loud, but resolute. And this one is Taking Leave. Spit lumped on the sidewalk, a dead jellyfish ashore, steam coming out potholes, the city's anger boiling. Overheard. Wherever you go, you leave fucking flowers. I'm trying to decide if that's a hymn, anthem, or creed. While the takers keep taking. Indignant about homeless people's inhumane behavior and not becoming completely invisible, but letting the body lump for others to walk around. The talkers keep talking about decency and them giving us safe space, but you've scraped dignity away, and you still expect what you've left to give from an invisible coffer. Thank you.
Heidi, thank you. Nice to see you again. You were at OP recently. How was that experience for you?
Yeah, that was really good. That was really fun. Yeah, so overwhelming, so many people, but a lot of good things happening there.
Cool. I'm glad it was a good experience. I hope your book got some good attention there, and you looked happy in the photos that I saw online.
Thanks.
Sure. All right. And thanks for joining in with your green hair tonight as well. Round of applause for Heidi Casa. I'm going to close out with two poems. About 10 years ago, I released a book called Romancing the Blarney Stone, which I had written the previous summer when Addie and I had visited Ireland. And one of the things that we got to do was in between the time that we spent in Dublin and Northern Ireland before we finished our trip on the east side of the country, we drove through Blarney and got to visit the famous Blarney Stone. This is the title poem of the book, Romancing the Blarney Stone. Somewhere in this universe, in this solar system, on this planet, on another continent, in a country surrounded by water, in a town there, in a castle there, there is a stone, a known stone, a kissed stone, a stone kissed by more men and women than Caligula. My lips destined for this stone in that place, in all the places that I mentioned, my lips, that stone, you'll see. If you want to read more from that book, there is a link in the chat to the page on my website, which has a few other pieces from it. And this next poem was written after this week's Torah portion, the first one in the book of Leviticus in Hebrew, that's Vayikra, which translates to "and God called." This poem is called "No One Likes to Answer the Phone Anymore." Thanks to texting, no one likes to answer the phone anymore. It rings like a surprise from another decade. What are they thinking? We think. Why don't they send a message? Could whatever this is have been an email? And in my Torah of communication, the answer to that is always yes. We've even trained our parents and grandparents to text us, though if only they'd stopped signing their names at the end of the texts. But this call that Moses received, this is the one we've been waiting for. This is the one that gets through our do not disturb. This is the one we'd brag about if we were the bragging type. We wouldn't talk so much on this call, just listen, internalize every word, then document it as sacred text. This is the call that tells us what to do. The instructions are specific: food, peace, sin, and guilt. We'll know what to do in every situation. Here's the thing: the phone has been ringing this whole time. Can you hear it? This is the call you've hoped would come. You know who it is. Answer it. All righty. Thank you so much, everyone. I would like to say thank you again to Stephen Kuusisto for being our featured reader tonight. He had to go because his dog needed to do his business in the snow outside in DeWitt, New York, where, take it from me, it gets pretty cold. But he was a great reader. You can check out his broadside. It says Kim there because I just didn't have the time to change that first name this week from Kim to Stephen. But trust me, I mean Stephen. There at the Cobalt Poets website. Of course, you can get on our email list there on that website if you'd like and see who's coming up. Next week, Ellen Thea will be our featured reader. There's a couple links to Stephen's most recent collection, Close Escapes, some of the poems which he read to us tonight. And he also suggests that you can go to the Copper Canyon website and check it out there. And as well, there is Stephen's website. So go to all of those places. Now you have something to do for the rest of the evening. This Thursday at 4:30 p.m. Pacific, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to be leading a free workshop for Eastern Shore Writers Association, a name that could be familiar to you if you've been coming to Cobalt for a while, because that's the organization that Tara Elliott, a longtime Cobalt regular, runs. She invited me to do a workshop. It's called Making the Mundane Spectacular, or something obnoxious like that. and it's free. And I don't have a link to it, but if you go to the Eastern Shore Writers Association website, I'm sure you can find it there. And I'll be posting about it on social media probably tomorrow as well, if you need a link before that. So maybe some of you will come. Again, it's free. You know what I'm saying? So thank you everyone for being here. A great open reading as always. Slante. And I'm going to click on the Ask All to Unmute button.
Slancha.
You know, Rick, I never really considered Caligula to be one of the great kissers of all time, so that's good to know.
He didn't say great.
Great
He just
work tonight,
said
everybody.
frequent kisser.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was more the abundance that came along with
Okay.
Caligula.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Let's see if I can just